Evening. Welcome to the City of Lebanon Board of Zoning Appeals meeting for Monday, March 2nd. Could we have roll call, please?
Ray Kuntz.
Here.
Chad Kiger.
Here.
Bruce Polly.
Here.
Ron Edwards.
Here.
Rose. Here.
Okay, we have everybody here tonight. Before I forget it, if you're planning on speaking tonight, we need you to sign in over here, Kelly's desk, if you would, please. Has everybody had a chance to look at the minutes? And I would entertain a motion if there's no questions.
I move we approve the minutes.
Before we second, I think there was something we were waiting on as far as sound dampening study for that city school system bus garage. I didn't know if that got captured in the notes.
Don't remember specifically if it did. Kelly, do you remember?
I didn't put it in because the conversation was you had already voted on it, so.
Oh, Chad, I do have it. I mean, so they did
Yeah, if you
submit
could
it.
send that to me.
Yeah,
Appreciate
absolutely.
it. Just out of curiosity.
Yep, sure can.
Thanks.
Okay, Corey made the motion. Now I need a second for the minutes.
Second.
Lori seconded. All in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries. We had 3 items on the docket for tonight. One of them has requested a 30-day wait, so it's continued until April the 1st meeting. Docket 24-8, the Lebanon Park 65 LLC on behalf of McAllister Rentals requesting a conditional use for contractor warehouse storage facility located at 705 through 1055 West Cox Avenue. The property is zoned planned business industrial. Mr. Bontrager.
Thank you, Mr. Polly, members of the board. I will walk you through this here. This is a site you've seen at least once before. Back in 2021, this came to you for a series of variance requests with a previous developer and applicant, and then received Plan Commission approval for development plan in May of 2022. As you, I'm sure, are aware, this site hasn't begun development, and they've looking for some tenants and actually have identified a tenant, McAllister Rentals, who's interested in the site. And this is the site that you see up here on the screen. It is the 57 acres that is directly behind Flying J, just south of the interstate. They are looking to develop the overall property, but I have highlighted the part of the property that would be reserved for McAllister Rentals. And the reason that they've actually chosen this site is because it is outside the overlay district for the interstate. As you may recall, outdoor storage is not permitted in the overlay district, so I had worked with them to identify a site that is outside the overlay district and would be screened from the interstate by other development parcels. That being said, while they're outside of the area where outdoor storage is prohibited, looking through the zoning ordinance and trying to identify a use that most closely matches what McAllister Rentals does, when what they do is they rent equipment, tools, et cetera, including some larger equipment that has a large storage yard. So we don't really have in our zoning ordinance a use that matches up exactly with what they do. My response then is to find a use that most closely resembles what they do. In terms of definitions, contractor's warehouse storage facility most closely represents what they do because they would obviously have a storage area for equipment that is outside, similar to what a contractor's yard would have. So that is the most closely represented use in our use table for this type of use because we don't have equipment rental uses on there. And so that use, contractor's warehouse storage facility unenclosed, is a conditional use within the planned business industrial zoning district. Thus the reason it's before you here tonight. So just walking through then, let me pull up the site plan for you so you can see it. So there again, their site is in the southwest corner of the property you see here. They would have a main building with the offices and equipment repair bays that's about 35,000 square feet. There's a second 15,000 square foot covered facility that's to the back here. and then a small 3,000 square foot building you see here. The rest of what you see here, other than the parking for employees and customers, is all storage yard, paved storage yard area. And so that is the request for you here tonight, is to allow that use here. And as you can see with them kind of shoehorned in the southwest corner here, they still have the two primary spec buildings that would be along the interstate. And what I've done is rearrange it so there's a third one that mirrors these other two that's to the east. So between the McAllister site and the Flying J, there would be a building, and then along the street, along the interstate, there would be two additional buildings. So this is really tucked back in there on the southwest corner of the site where it won't be visible from a public street. Other than obviously the public street that they'll develop on their site. And as you see here, going back here to the west of this site is the railroad tracks, and this is in a place where the railroad tracks are elevated because they go over the interstate here, so that does provide a buffer, but in this case it'd be buffering from the industrial park. And then to the south, as you see here, is another industrial building that has their trailer parking area that's adjacent to the site. So again, very similar uses that are directly around this site and or it's buffered. So in terms of evaluating conditional use, there are 5 criteria we look at. The first is that the proposed use is listed as a conditional use for the particular zoning district, and we have verified that it is in fact a conditional use in the Plain-Best Industrial Zoning District. The second one is the established maintenance or operation of the conditional use will not be determined to or endanger the public health, safety, morals, or general welfare of the community, and we have determined that the applicant's proposal for this type of use will not be detrimental to the community. The third is that the conditional use will not be injurious to the use and enjoyment of other property in the immediate vicinity. And again, kind of going back to our map here, you can see that it's all industrial uses and or a truck stop that's around the site. So this use will have no impact on those surrounding uses for their use and enjoyment of the property for a permitted use. The fourth criteria is the establishment will not impede or substantially alter the normal and orderly development of surrounding properties for permitted uses. And again, with its location here, the fact that the developer also owns the property around it and other uses in the area, this use will not impede the development of other properties for permitted uses. In fact, this will fit right in as an industrial use within an industrial park. Number 5 is adequate utilities, roads, drainage, et cetera, is provided to the site, and all of these utilities and or transportation infrastructure will be extended by the developer to the site. And actually, finally, I said 5, it's actually 6 criteria. The 6th one is the proposed use is not in conflict with the goals of the comprehensive plan or unified development ordinance. And we have determined that the use is not in conflict with those documents. The comprehensive plan identifies this corridor as appropriate for industrial uses, which this use does fit into that category. So in a review of the requested conditional use for the allowance of a contractor's warehouse storage facility in the Plain-Best Industrial Zoning classification, planning staff has recommended approval subject to the following condition. And that would be that the applicant meet the outdoor storage screening requirements of the UDO, Chapter 7806, along the north end of the subject property adjacent to the public street frontage and proposed west detention pond. So we'll go back to the site plan, and what that would be is that in this area where it's adjacent to this public road, or in this area where adjacent to the detention pond, they would provide the required buffer plantings in those areas. So with that finishes my presentation. Be happy to answer any questions.
Is the storage lot paved or stoned?
It's required to be paved.
I know Cox Avenue is being realigned per the state, right, with the access point up on the state road. Is that contemplated in this project?
So actually, their primary access would come from basically the Flying J Drive to its south. That would be, and actually they're working with all those owners because that is not a public road right now. It's actually an access easement. So the applicant has been working with those owners to dedicate right-of-way so that could become a public street. So their primary access, if they want to pull the screen up again, would actually come from this road to the south and access all these. And that's why you kind of see this large truck-sized cul-de-sac here, so trucks could turn around into the site. They do have what I call essentially an emergency access point that goes out onto Cox Avenue in case it's necessary if something's blocking this other road, but it would not be used regularly for access to the site.
Is there going to be access for, I mean, I assume Cox is going to kind of turn there, right?
Yeah, I'm not
And
sure
give
exactly what the
access
alignment
to-
looks like.
Because I know we have another business that's going to essentially be landlocked if we don't
Yeah,
play
well,
nice
there's
right there.
actually 2 users that require Cox to provide access, and that would be the old bar that's there that's being turned into an electrical contractor office, and then CSX has some areas along the railroad that they have access to back there as well. So the access can't go away. It has to remain in some way, shape, or form, whether that's from Cox Avenue in its current location or through this site. There will have to be access to those two locations one way or the other.
So we're not hindering any of those plans with this?
Correct.
Perfect. Thank you.
Does the applicant have any additional comments or questions or anything?
Yeah, I'm Aaron Hurt with Civil and Environmental Consultants, representing Browning Investments and then McAllister's Rentals. Ben did a very good job explaining everything. I think you've generally seen, or the city's seen this project before, so kind of McAllister's is kind of a catalyst for this project. So the intent would be move forward with McAllister's and the infrastructure to serve this, which will help the other buildings be built as well. So with that, we are going for development plan approval with next month with the Plan Commission and primary plat approval. So we've got that already submitted. So happy to take any questions that you have.
Can you walk us through these variances in terms of your reason for requesting them?
Well,
Starting
I
with
think the variances listed
starting
were,
with the first one.
I think those were the previous variances. So we're not necessarily requesting those. Yeah, maybe Ben can clarify that.
Yeah, Chad, these were previously approved variances in 2021. This was actually a previous developer as
I thought
well.
we had a statute of limitations on something here that made us come back to this. Wasn't that in here somewhere that I read?
No, variances actually run with the land. So regardless of the applicant, those variances are, I guess,
Maybe it was
technically permanent.
planning department, or the
Yeah,
planning board.
yeah, primary plats and development plan approvals do have a sunset, but variances do run with the land.
Okay, so I'm confused. If these 5 variances go with the land and they've already been approved, what?
They were approved in September 2021.
So what's the purpose of this?
Really just explaining the history of what's happened previously on this site. We just were highlighting the fact that
So we're not really even voting on anything?
No, this is strictly just a conditional use request.
Okay.
These were already approved previously, it's just kind of explaining
Got
the
it.
history and
Okay,
timeline.
I'm clear.
There's a public meeting. Anybody from the public want to address the board? Okay, we will close the public end of the meeting. So we have to take a vote on this then if they're already approved?
On the conditional use?
Yeah, on the conditional use.
Okay.
Yes, so what you'd be voting on is the conditional use to allow contractors' warehouse storage yard on the site, specifically just for the use, no other variances associated with this project.
Anybody have any questions then before?
I make a motion that I'm sorry, Corey, do you have something? No, you're fine. I make a motion that we approve the conditional use for this site based on what's in the staff report.
Subject to the one condition?
Yes.
Outdoor screening. The outdoor screening.
For the dumpster? Okay, I'll start over. Make a motion that we approve the conditional use request for this site with the condition that the applicant meet the outdoor storage screening requirements of UDO Chapter 7.8.0.6 along the north end of the subject property adjacent to the public street frontage and proposed west detention pond.
Ray Coons,
Yes.
Chad Kiger.
Yes.
Bruce Polly. Yes. Ron Edwards. Yes. Lori Gross.
Yes.
Congratulations. Good luck.
Thanks, gentlemen.
We have one item left. Anita Burns is requesting a conditional use approval to operate a retail sales, service, and repair, special handling use, of body art studio at 115 East Washington Street. The property is zoned downtown. Ben.
Thank you, Mr. Pauly, members of the board. So we are in a state of transition. Oh, it's going to have to be a pretty quick transition because we adopted a new Unified Development Ordinance last Monday. So this is our first application that falls under the standards of the new Unified Development Ordinance. So as Mr. Pauly stated, this is now zoned downtown, formerly central business. So it is a new zoning acronym. The standards are relatively similar, but we do have new acronyms in the new zoning ordinance. And as part of that, we relooked at some particular uses and how they were addressed in specific zoning classifications. And in particular, body art studios, which were a standalone use before, are now classified in this new category of retail, sales, service, and repair special handling. And it's a definition that includes other uses where we essentially want to be able to have some additional level of oversight as a conditional use that comes to the Board of Zoning Appeals, so we can just review the specifics of it and make sure we're comfortable with it before approving it. So that's what you have here before you tonight. This is an existing use that's on the square. It's Glow House and Anita B. Beauty. And it's a specialty salon that provides custom spray tanning, teeth whitening, permanent makeup, and microblading. So for those of us that don't get these services, I'm sure she could explain it a little bit better for us. So she had, Miss Burns has presented a proposal to provide tattooing services at the site. Actually, a little bit of history there. She has been providing tattooing service there for the site because she called the health department who told her she was permitted to do that. And so she moved forward with it. And then somebody called her office and asked if that was permitted there. And at the time, under the old zoning ordinance, it was not. And so we reached out to the property owner, and Ms. Burns and I met and discussed it. And she was able to apply under the new zoning ordinance for the conditional use. So through no fault of her own or our own, there was a use taking place that wasn't permitted, so we've addressed that. She's filed her conditional use application before you tonight to get everything in place that needs to be in place in order to continue providing these services. So in terms of the actual use itself, I'll let the applicant explain in further detail her services. It is a service that's provided by appointment only and during regular business hours. So this is not a walk-in type of use. This is something that people will come in by appointment only, and I think she's going to hand out some information to you. So this is something where there'll be one person there at a time rather than people coming and going. So it's a very low intensity retail use. And so in terms of our review, we're looking to see whether this would have any sort of impact that would be dissimilar or unique from any other similar type of retail establishment. In this case, we really categorize this like a hair salon. It's appointment only, one person at a time, low intensity use of people coming and going by appointment. So in terms of the conditional use, then we did, similar to the last one, we have the 6 criteria that we reviewed. The first one is is listed as a conditional use. As I mentioned in the new UDO land use matrix in section 3.2, retail sales, service, and repair special handling is a conditional use in the downtown zoning classification. That's the reason for the application before you tonight. Second criteria is the established maintenance or operation of the conditional use will not be determined to or endanger the public health, safety, morals, or general welfare of the community. And staff has determined the applicant's proposal for this use will not be detrimental to the community. The third is the conditional use will not be injurious to the use and enjoyment of other properties in the vicinity. And the applicant's proposed use will not impair the use and enjoyment of other properties in the immediate vicinity or the property values in the neighborhood. The tattooing service proposed by the applicant will complement the additional salon services provided at the site. It will not notably alter how the business operates currently, particularly not in a manner that would impact neighboring properties. Criteria number 4 is the establishment of the use will not impede or substantially alter the normal and orderly development of surrounding properties. Staff has determined the proposed use is a service retail use at the site that is already providing other similar types of retail uses. So the operation of the site will not change substantially and thus will not be an impediment to the normal and orderly development of surrounding properties. Criteria number 5, adequate utilities are provided, and this is an existing building on the square, so all required utilities and infrastructure are currently provided. Criteria number 6 is proposed use is not in conflict with the goals of the comprehensive plan or unified development ordinance, and the proposed use is not in conflict with these documents. The comprehensive plan identifies this area as appropriate for mixed use, defined as including restaurants, small scale retail, and professional services, offices, various residential uses, and recreation amenities. And in our opinion, this fits neatly into the small scale retail and professional services category within that definition. So just maybe to take a step back and highlight the site that we're talking about. This is the courthouse you see just to the left here off the screen. This is the building at the corner here where the use is proposed. The entrance is actually here on the north side of the building, very small space here on the north end of the building. This is where Clues Brews is located, their frontage here on the square. And so again, this is a use of the Glow House, and Anita B. Beauty has been there for a period of time. So this is just an additional service provided at this location. So with that then, in review of the requested conditional use for the allowance of a retail sales, service, and repair special handling use for Body Art Studio in the downtown zoning classification, Lebanon Planning staff recommends approval. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
What's the hours of operation?
I'll let her explain their regular daytime business hours that you expect of a salon type service like this, but I'll let her walk through that for you.
So Ben, in terms of business classification, I guess based on the current UDO and the new one, well, which is now the current one, I guess.
Yes.
Is there a distinction between fine line tattoo and, I don't know, I don't have tattoos, I know nothing about it. But is there like another category of tattoos?
There is not.
So it all goes in the same bucket?
It all goes in under the same use definition. And the reason we put it in that classification is because it is it's automatically a conditional use wherever it would go. So it'll always come here. So if it's a service like Ms. Burns provides, it would come here. Or if it's something where it's a full range tattoo studio, it will still come here.
Okay. So Rose Inc. is the name of the tattoo portion of this business?
Yes.
Okay.
My business is under Anita B. Beauty, but
Hold on just a second.
Yes, I recently just rebranded to Rose Inc. to
Okay.
include my tattoo.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Is there anything else that you would like to explain about it, or go ahead and explain everything?
So I just wanted to put together that quick little PowerPoint, just kind of explaining who I am. I am a 2012 Western Boone grad, and I love art. I've always taken drawing classes on the side, like through college and high school. It's always been important to me and my passion. I started nursing in 2017. I graduated, worked at Riley on the pediatric ICU for about 5 years, still kind of building my little business on the side. I worked every Saturday and Sunday, just working my life away so I could get to the point of being able to pursue my business full time. So finally I was able to do that with the addition of my tattoo business. It's a very popular business these days, and I really love doing it, so it's a great financial means for me as well. So that's just kind of like how I got into it. And then I also added in there my tattooing protocols. I don't tattoo anyone under the age of 18. I realize you can with consent forms, but I just opt out of that just so there's no confusion with age. And then I also, no children are permitted in the shop during my appointment times. I have the patron rights available for clients to read and see when you walk in. I do keep up through the health department. I've gone through the health department since 2019 with my microblading permanent makeup business. So I know I get 2 inspections a year with them. I haven't had any issues. I've never not passed an inspection. I keep up with my bloodborne pathogens certification, and then my CPR as well. So those are all currently up to date. And then I have my Sharps disposal. I go through MedPro disposal contract is what I was trying to think of. So those are all, and then any service I do provide, I was trained to do tattoos. I actually went to Knoxville, Tennessee, and trained there with a highly recommended fine line tattoo artist. I want to stick with fine line realms. So that's just meaning it's a thinner line of a tattoo. If you're not familiar with tattoos, it's not going to be the big traditional, big colorful tattoos. It's more, I do a lot of like handwriting from cards. I'll take that and able to replicate it and tattoo it for loved ones. A lot of the tattoos I will say I do are pretty meaningful, and the fine line are just really popular right now.
So I'm like Chad.
Yeah.
Whatever I say, take for a grain of salt because,
No worries, I get it.
so the general tattoo, I guess, so all the colors and everything you do not do?
I don't do bigger work like that. So it's still the same tattoo. It still goes the depth in the skin as a normal tattoo does. I just do more delicate. I did put some examples of my work on that last page. So just to kind of show specifically what I do, that's the fine line of it.
She's probably not going to do a full sleeve, but she'll give you a pretty
I've
butterfly.
had people come ask me to do a big sleeve, a big eagle across the chest or something, and I'm like, I'm not your artist, because I want to stick to my...
Yeah,
She'll
right.
probably make you a deal on it.
Yeah, probably would.
Any body piercings?
I am not certified for body piercings.
Do you keep normal, consistent business hours, or is it by whenever you have appointments?
It is, so my latest I go to is till 7. I don't like to be at the shop too late, and it is by appointment only, so it's like 9 to 7 most days. I probably need to update my Google hours because it says like 9 to 7, 9 to 5, but yeah, I work between 9 and 7 every day.
So all you're asking for, and maybe Ben needs to jump in too, is just tattoos only, no massages or?
No, don't, just tattoos.
Okay.
I currently already do the permanent makeup, so what I'm already, the eyebrows and eyeliner, so that I'm already licensed and go through the health department, all of that, if anyone needs new eyebrows. So yeah, I'm just asking to be able to continue my business doing tattoos.
Permanent makeup is kind of in the same realm as
It
tattooing,
really is,
right?
yeah. It's the only difference is the depth in the skin that you go. So permanent makeup isn't technically, it's semi-permanent. It fades over time.
Okay.
So that's the biggest difference. It's not a full tattoo.
Is that part contemplated in the UDO? Or would that fall under this cool?
So what we've done historically is consider those types of services ancillary to a salon service. So we've actually permitted over the last few years a number of different places to be able to do microblading as an ancillary service to salons. And that's actually how Ms. Burns got started, was doing the microblading, et cetera.
But the expansion into the tattoo world technically changed it. Okay.
So the health department doesn't differentiate between those two, but our office does. So that's why we're doing this additional step to allow that. And the recommendation is specifically to allow body art studios, so it wouldn't go into the other realms that you're asking about. That's the specific request tonight.
There was a little confusion when I asked the health department because the permit that I pay for every year, it does say tattoos, piercings, body art modification, or body modification. So when I had reached out to them, I said, hey, am I able to do tattoos? Because that's who I thought I'd go through. So, and they were like, yeah, you can do tattoos there. So I think there was just confusion and then the zoning wasn't checked first, and it should have been, which I totally understand, so. Just asking to be able to continue doing tattoos there.
It's a county city thing. It's weird.
Questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
It is a public meeting. I will open the meeting for anybody in the audience that would care to speak. Okay, we'll close the public end of the meeting since nobody cares to voice their concern. Ben, would it be beneficial to add to your staff recommendation that if for some reason that she were to close or something, that I guess sell it to somebody else, that it would revert back? Or
Yeah, so conditional uses are different than variances. I don't, in my experience, I don't believe conditional uses run with the land like a variance does, but we could certainly put in there that this is specific to this applicant at this location, so it couldn't be transferred to another user or transferred to another location. That would be okay if you wanted to do that. So just be a condition that says that this approval is for this applicant at this location only and does not run with the land.
So if we were to fast forward and let's say her space was rented out to somebody else, she moved across the street, same zoning district, everything, she would still have to come back before this board?
She would.
Is that the case?
Regardless of that condition, she still would, because
Okay.
she can't take that conditional use approval with her.
Perfect, okay, thank you. So,
Somebody want to make a recommendation?
I'll make a motion that we approve the conditional use for fine line tattooing. What's the name of your business? Rose Inc.? Rose Inc. With the condition that the conditional use is specific to the applicant and to this particular business.
I'll second that motion. Honestly, it's about time we get this put into the UDO, even as a conditional use. I think there's been a bit of a stigma around tattoos that has really changed over the last, especially 10 years. We were at a position where doctors couldn't operate on you and have a tattoo showing, and even that's changed. So if a heart surgeon can save my life with a tattoo showing, I think we can probably put a tattoo on in downtown Lebanon. So I will second that motion happily. Yes.
Chad Geiger?
Yes.
Bruce Polly? Ron Edwards? Lori Gross?
Yes.
Carries. Congratulations. Good luck. Do we have any other questions or answers or anything tonight from anybody?
Since we have a new UDO, I was thinking it might be beneficial for all of us to understand what's different and what's changed, so that we have a heads up going into future meetings. And I don't know if we can schedule that like outside of our normal meeting. And
I
Ben,
think it's posted on the website, isn't it?
is it?
I believe it, we can ask Ben, but I believe it.
I didn't know if it'd gone through the second reading or if it had to have 2 readings.
Yeah, it's officially passed as of last
I was
Monday
going to
night.
say, I think it's passed, and it should be on the website, but we can ask.
Yeah.
And I would just say, if you would like to have a working session, we can schedule that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we should.
We
That'd be-
haven't had one for 100 years, I don't think. It's been long. Okay, with that being said, I think it's time to close the meeting, and we will get this worked out with Ben here. So the next scheduled board meeting would be Monday, April the 1st, 7 p.m., right here. Entertain a motion to close meeting.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Meeting is adjourned.